We are here in New York at Fleet Week, and we've heard from the Navy, we've heard from the Marines, we've heard from the Coast Guard, we've even heard from the Diplomatic Corps, but now we're going to hear about women in the military and the history of women in the military and how it's just been a phenomenally wild ride for the last 20 years. Joining me is Martha LaGuardia, pronounce it again?
Kotite.
Kotite. Martha LaGuardia Kotite, and she's the author of a great book called Changing the Rules of Engagement, which you can see on the screen. I've read it, and I must say, Martha, it just put chills up my spine because I was at the White House at the very beginning of when we had women go to the service academies. I was on President Nixon's staff when the decisions were made, and you've now chronologued everything that's happened in the military and how everything has changed. So give us some stories.
There's some wonderful stories. I've profiled 17 top women, and the book is an invitation for people from all backgrounds to meet and engage with leaders at the top of their game who broke through the ceiling, if you will, and opened up doors and opportunities for others like me to follow. For example, on the cover is Nicole Malachowski. She broke with 53 years of tradition, opened up the aerial demonstration team flight opportunity for women as the first female Thunderbird. And one of the lessons I learned from her, each woman offers a lesson that crosses from the military into the civilian and corporate world, was surround yourself with a team of supporters and let the negative people just fall to the wayside. And that's how she succeeds.
It's a good lesson in life. Tell me about some of the others.
Well, there's also Vice Admiral Cray, who's a Coast Guard woman. She served under President Reagan as the first female presidential military aide. So she carried the nuclear football.
Her. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And after that, she didn't stop there. She became the highest ranking woman in the history of our military to be a deputy service chief as Vice Commandant of the Coast Guard. And she has been an inspiration for men and women, not only in the Coast Guard where she served, but across the services, for the things that she's done. And one of the most remarkable was early on, she applied to fly Coast Guard aircraft and to serve on Coast Guard ships, and the answer was no. And she said, well, am I going to accept no for an answer? And she said no. So she petitioned based on logic. She said, there's no reason why I can't fly in a plane. And let's revisit this. And the Coast Guard did. And she helped open the doors for women to fly military jets in the United States Coast Guard.
From which then all the other services took the lead.
In a way, Department of Defense is different from the Coast Guard. At the time, we were part of transportation, but the laws did change in the 90s, and Nicole Malachowski is an example of flying a military jet into combat areas.
Now, is there anything that all the stories of these women who have just had such phenomenal careers and they've broken the glass ceiling at every step, is there a couple of traits that they all seem to have in common?
Yes, absolutely. I found their positive outlook. They don't look at negativity. They push back against ill will. They don't listen to it. They have a vision. They have intelligence, and they're graceful leaders.
So in other words, as a mother, when you tell your kids no whining, it really does work, right, in life as well as in the military.
It does. These lessons apply really across the board. And I like to speak at schools and talk to younger men and women, young students, kids, and they appreciate the stories of courage, of bravery, of pushing through and fighting for your dream. And one of the biggest things I love was from Congresswoman Heather Wilson, who went through the Air Force Academy early on, one of the first classes to have women. She went off to Oxford and studied, and then became...
She was a Rhodes Scholar.
A Rhodes Scholar, and then became a Congresswoman. And her message to me and to all of us who read this book is dream a bigger dream. Imagine, KT, what your life would be. You've done really, really well. But if you had a bigger dream and thought of that as a young person, where would you be today?
Well, that's a little scary. And I think Congressman Wilson, in fact, is someone they're talking about being a candidate for the United States Senate.
She is. She's running. She's put in her plan to do that. Another woman in the book running for Congress this go-round is Tammy Duckworth, a Purple Heart, triple amputee, got shot down flying a Black Hawk helicopter in Iraq, nearly died. They thought she was dead. Then they noticed that she still had blood coming out of her, so they said, she's not dead, let's act now and save her life. And they did. She fought her way back. And now she's running for Congress, and she's flying planes again.
God bless her. What made you do this? You're a reserve officer as well in the U.S. Coast Guard, but what made you decide you wanted to write about women in the military?
Well, it was a moment that I was speaking about my first book called So Others May Live, about Coast Guard rescue swimmers. And my desire had always been to recognize veterans because only 1% of our population serves in the military. I figured many people don't understand and know about our great people that serve our country. And while I was talking about So Others May Live, I had a moment whereby I recognized that there are so many women that deserve to be more than a footnote in one of Ollie North's books.
Oh my gosh!
They deserve their own book.
There you go. Well, next time I see Ollie North, I'll tell him he better move over. He's got a competition for the real story of the United States military. Okay, so thank you very much, Martha LaGuardia Kotite. The book is called Changing the Rules of Engagement, Inspiring Stories of Courage and Leadership from Women in the Military. Thank you so much.